Non-league football is almost like its own sport. It's so far detached from the glitz and glamour of the top flight that is the Premier League. It's not about the money, it's about the community. It's personal, almost tribal. It's about the beautiful game and getting one over the opposition. It's what every apparent football fan cries out for when their favourite player joins Real Madrid for £100 million. They just don't know it. Supporting a non-league football club boils down to one core idea in someone's head. This is my town, and this is my club. There are benefits that come with showing support for your local club. A season ticket at my nearest non-league side, Marine FC in the northern end of Merseyside, would set you back £140. The average Premier League equivalent would cost you a handsome £1,200.
I watched Everton in the mid-70s, the great time in the mid-70s of Everton, until 87 when they won the league twice, and it got too expensive. I bailed out when it got too expensive, and look at the prices now, it's ridiculous. So yeah, no, I did go watching Everton. If I could get a Skem game in, I would do. And like I say, I've been since about 94, 95, I've been back regular at Skem. I've never watched a Premier League game. I've never watched a Premier League game live. I've never watched Match of the Day for about 2 or 3 years.
Supporting your local non-league football club is more than just about what happens on the field though. It's the same as choosing to shop at the family butcher's instead of going to Tesco for your fresh cut of meat. You're supporting your local community. These football clubs may not bring in the crowds that you'll see on BT Sports and Sky, but every single week, these clubs attract other clubs' fans to your local community. And these people spend money in your pubs, your restaurants, and your shops. Non-league organisations like the Liverpool County FA and the Lancashire Football Association aren't daft. They know the pull of the Premier League is too much, and so non-league football is usually played around the fixtures. This opens up the potential for football fans to double their fix. For example, they could watch Liverpool on the Saturday and then take themselves down to the local community stadium for a bit of non-league football to round the weekend off. Skelmersdale United, a football club that found itself on the brink. Founded in 1882, Skem, as they're affectionately known, became the football club for a population of a little over 5,000 people in the Lancashire town of Skelmersdale, a status the area only received just over 60 years ago. Skem were a force to be reckoned with back in the day, with several trips to Wembley through the 1960s, when local sides Liverpool and Everton were enjoying major success. Skem finally won the FA Amateur Cup in 1971. 1971 was actually the year after would-be Liverpool legend Steve Highway left Skem for Anfield. But this marked a downward spiral for the club, as the next 30 years or so would see the Lancashire outfit dive into the depths of non-league football. Things got to a breaking point just a few years ago as the owners of Skem Stadium chose to evict the club as a new lease had not been agreed before the end of the 2016-17 season. After almost 2 years of trying to iron out the details, the club was in serious danger of becoming extinct. They were at risk of being thrown out of their league, as each club is required to have a home pitch to play on and host other clubs.
You obviously care very deeply about Skem United, so I just wonder, when the club was at risk a year or two ago, how did it feel to be in that position where the club may dissolve?
One of the problems with that one was 2 years ago when it came in, I had the bad luck of, we laughed about it a few times. I laughed with my predecessor the other day, where it was, if Tommy Lawson hadn't been sacked, he wouldn't have resigned, I wouldn't be doing the job I'm doing. So I see it as, it's more to me, because I became the media officer, it was my sort of responsibility to say, anything that goes out of this club, it's up to me. So when it was the danger, it was right, let's sort this out. Last year, when we came here, we had a bit of a shortfall. We saved it, the fans saved it, and we went down, we accepted it.
How did you feel when Skem were in a position where they were at risk of having to dissolve?
Distraught, disgusted, angry. eventually was the undoing of us. It was a kick in the teeth, real kick in the teeth, and yeah, very painful, very painful.
What did it feel like for yourself when Skem was in such a delicate position just a year ago?
It was difficult. It was a little bit disquieting as regards what was going on. The events that happened were totally out of our hands. Not being able to renew a lease was not what we wanted. We wanted a new lease, but the landlord wasn't available. So at the end of the day, it was something that we had to just take on the chin and move on from and do as best as we could, which I think we've done. It's been really hard because of the extra finances it's cost us to come and rent grounds like this. We're thankful for Prescott, to be perfectly honest with you, helping us out. But we did lose a lot of sponsorship as well, because the businesses in Skelm obviously don't see a benefit to anything here. So yeah, it was difficult, but we've come through it.
Skem played twice at Marine FC after being evicted from their ground in October 2017, but this was not sustainable for either of them. The club's media officer, Simon Driscoll, took it upon himself to set up a Just Giving page for Skem, and they were able to gather together enough donations to help the club along. Through financial backing from fans, players, sponsors and staff of the club, Skem were able to survive by agreeing a ground share with Prescott Cables, a non-league club in the town of its namesake, which safeguarded the club's short-term future.
I'll set up a Just Giving. I'll promote it as much as I possibly can. And we got £4,000 in 3 months to pay to be able to play here. So one of those where it's something that a lot of people ask me, how does it feel when we went through the danger? And I said, well, I helped to get us out of it. And hopefully it's the last time this club will ever be in that position. Because it's one where we're going to improve, we're going to go back, we're going to build up. So hopefully danger is not a word that's going to be associated with Skem. It will be more, that was the danger, this is the future.
The following season, with a new-look squad, Skem barely avoided relegation, but just last year, supporters watched their demise as the club was relegated to the lowest position it's been in its 136-year history, level 9 of the football pyramid. Relegation may be exactly what the club needs, however. They're able to rebuild and look to the future. It's cheaper to run a club at a lower level. As long as they avoid further relegation this season, there may yet be light at the end of the tunnel. Contrastingly, fellow non-league clubs Marine and City of Liverpool have been able to prosper. The Crosby-based Mariners have been able to launch a new youth setup, while the Liverpudlians have confirmed plans to build a 5,000-seater stadium in Fazakerley. The key difference: Marine own their stadium, and Col FC have clearly seen the benefits of having their own home turf, having spent most of their existence sharing with another local side in Bootle. When Skem's landlord chose to evict the club, they effectively pulled the rug from beneath them. Can you imagine a huge part of your life being under threat of disappearing? If football isn't your jazz, imagine if you couldn't listen to music or watch Netflix or YouTube again. You'd rightfully be devastated. I asked football fans on social media how they'd feel if their club dissolved. Patrick Daly said he probably wouldn't follow football anymore. Dave Brady said he'd find it tough as he'd have no hobbies left. Sam Mayan said it would be like a big light and one of the biggest sources of passion going out in his life. And Christopher Shaw said it'd be like losing your driving licence.
What does Skelmersdale United Football Club mean to you?
I think a lot at the moment. One of the things I had was I followed it being from Skem myself when I was younger, on and off at White Moss, and then I started work over there as a warehouse, which is like 2 minutes from the ground, and I'd be coming home from work some nights and someone would say, oh yeah, Skem won this. So I started going to games on a Saturday, left my job a bit depressed from it. I thought, we can all start doing Saturday games. Went on a run of, I think it was like 60, 70 games at home on a Saturday, and then it came to a point where being a videographer and intermediate, I thought, I don't see any cameras. So one of the things was, I thought I'll start filming the games, and it's ended up turning to a point where, as far as what I see sometimes is, without me, I do wonder what would the club be. So it means a lot because it makes me feel I'm more of a person because of what I do for the club.
What does Skelmersdale United Football Club mean to you?
Skelmersdale, I started watching Skem United back in January 1967. I know I had a few years out watching another team in blue down the road, and I came back watching full time again, probably about 94, and it's very few games I've missed. I go to most away games. I know it sounds stupid at my age, but my life revolves around doing things for Skelmersdale United, whether it's on the internet, doing the programmes, or just doing bits and pieces, finding out stuff that from years ago. Yes, Skem mean a lot to me. Skelmersdale United mean a lot to myself.
Non-league football clubs are held close to the hearts of their supporters and are a huge part of their community. Prime example of this is Southport FC, who offer extra perks with their season tickets. Fans of the Yellows can take their tickets into local businesses and will receive a discount because of their loyalty to the local football club. Even smaller clubs like Runcorn Linnets and Marine put on events in their local communities. Both clubs recently putting on beer festivals and playing Premier League games on big screens to get people together. It's like an extended family. You just don't usually get that with the top flight clubs. Skem chairman Paul Griffiths has made a vow that this is something the club will look to do once they're settled into their new stadium in their hometown.
So, to start us off, what does Skem mean to you?
Skem is part of my life for the last 20 years. Started off as a board member, worked my way through the ranks from the bottom as everyone else does, and then up as the chairman. I'm very proud to be the chairman, and I'm very proud for being able to help youth come through and develop themselves and go on further and possibly to get careers as well.
And secondly, what does the football club mean to its community?
Well, to the community, I think it's a tremendous boon because, as I say, we've got youth academy players coming through, 300 or 400 players, of all ages and all groups. Hopefully, one day they'll make it either into the first team, they'll progress somewhere else in other clubs, or they could go on to professional clubs and make a career themselves out of it, which is what we're after for all of these kids. Yeah, and also, we're good for the business side of the community as well, because we do travel far and wide in cup games, etc., and we promote our own sponsors, etc., who are generally businesses within the area. And then again, when we have other visiting teams coming through, we bring in a small revenue into the area as well.
I know Runcorn Linnets have a beer festival set up, and I think Marine Football Club have recently launched a very similar thing. Is there anything like that going on at Skem at the minute?
There isn't, no, simply because we're not got a home venue at the moment. Once we're back in Skem and have our own home venue, yeah, we will revert back to all that type of thing for fundraising, etc. Yeah.
On a more earnest note, just the club being back in Skelmersdale will ensure the gate collects more from the increased match attendances, something that they've lacked over the last 2 years.
What would you say the impact has been since you moved? What percentages are you looking at in terms of crowd that you used to get?
Catastrophic, to say the least. We're losing about 100 a game. Average attendances 3 years ago before we moved here was probably 220s. It's now probably 120 or less. Yes, it's been hard. It's hard to try and get people to come. I know it's not that far, but I'm trying to get them to come here. It's just impossible.
Moving forward, the club is in a good position. It's cheaper to run at the 9th level of the footballing pyramid, and the Lancashire outfit is set to receive increased revenue from more fans attending games and putting on events within their community.
So my second question is, what does Skelmersdale United Football Club mean to its community?
It's a bit of a sore one, I'd say, at the moment, because back in the day, before my time, 60s, 70s, we had Skem United, Wembley, 10,000 people making the trip down to London, and yet in recent years, ground issues, relegations, it's a club that the community really doesn't care. There's a football club in some cases. There'll be games we've had years ago where in the local shopping centre you'd say, well, you know, £2 entry, come on down. Non-league day, you know, Liverpool are away, Everton away, and you get a crowd of 200. I think one of the ones I used to sum it up was the first Tuesday night game I ever did was before, like my dad does the media with me now, before he did that, they were going shopping in the Asda, and I said, well, come along with Jen and drop me off. And then I realised after I come out of the game, there was more people shopping in the Asda than had turned up to watch the town's football team, and I thought, that's not a community that cares. And yet now we've announced, we're coming back. There's people saying, we'll come back, we'll do this, and you sort of think, well, you call yourselves a football town, 40,000 population, and you're getting 200 people turning up. So it's something that at the moment the community doesn't care, but a lot of stuff we're doing media-wise, we've got a documentary crew covering us. Hopefully the community will look at it and go, hang on, this club is trying to make us, come back to it. So it's one of those, it's not the best at the moment, but hopefully it'll get better.
What does Skem United mean for its community?
A few years ago, the community was all behind Skem, but obviously since we've moved, the community don't seem to have much affiliation with the club anymore. When we eventually move back, hopefully that'll regenerate, and we should have a few more people coming around turnstiles, a few more people interested as well.
So moving forward, how does Skem, make sure they don't end up in the danger again? How do they rebuild?
I think one of the best things is we've got John Mallinson, who approached us originally back in 2005 to move us over. Things happened, it didn't happen. We now, at the back end of last season, said, right, we're at Cables for the season, let's sort this out. So he approached us and said, right, I'll set you up, build your stadium at JMO, your sponsors will come in. So we've got July, August, back in Skem. I mean, even the words when we announced it last August, off the back of the World Cup, football's coming home to Skem, and a lot of people went, right, they mean it now. Just under a year later, stands getting built, turnstiles, that we're ready for August. We may be in a lower division, but I think maybe the thing is, going down will help us come back up. As it stands at the moment here today, 45 minutes away from 13 years since we last played in the counties, and a lot's changed. We've been literally 5 games from being in the Conference North at one point. So as far as the future is concerned, the new stadium back in Skem, we've got a manager who's been there and done it in the counties. You've got young players are playing for peanuts this season, but they want to play. One of the biggest examples is, and I use his name an awful lot, is Alex Griffiths. A young lad, came to us in the summer, didn't know much about him, and yet as it stands, he's set to play every single game this season on Saturday. All 42. We played up to 70 players this season. But he's one of those that says, if that's our future, that's what we can do.
Where will Skem call home next season?
Skem, the future's bright actually. The under-16s have just won the Bootle Junior League, and we're hoping to move back to JMO in Skelmersdale next year. It might not be ready for the first couple of games of the season, but hopefully between end of August, September, we'll be back in the JMO at Skem. Hopefully the crowds will improve and we can sort of get out of this mess that we've been in for the last 2 years.
Since moving into the JMO Sports Park in Skelmersdale, as of the 20th of August 2019, the club have lost just 1 competitive game, which sets them up to improve on last season and hopefully bounce back. The future of Skem cannot be predicted, but they've now laid the foundations to build back up. Hopefully they'll firmly be back on their perch where they belong, sooner rather than later, and their die-hard supporters can sleep easy knowing their club isn't going anywhere.